Okay. Hello and welcome to the Beyond the Blueprint podcast, the show where we talk strategy, stories, and solutions for building better businesses and bolder lives. I'm your host, Jennifer Hightower, owner and founder of Hightower Edge Marketing, a full-service marketing agency helping businesses clarify their blind spots and grow to their full potential. Today's guest has built a powerhouse team inside of one of the most successful sales organizations in new home construction. And with his insight into leadership, scale, and people first culture is something you don't want to miss. Our guest today, Keith McKinney, is the top executive of New Home Star, the largest privately owned seller of outsourced new home sales in the United States. Since launching in 2008, they've helped builders streamline their sales practices and scale with confidence, even in times of market uncertainty. Keith brings deep expertise in leading people, promoting from within, and training teams quickly to meet the demands of the fast-growing, ever-changing market. He is also passionate about showing the next generation that new home sales isn't just a job, it is a career path full of leadership opportunities. Keith, welcome to the show.
Man, I'm gonna have to take you everywhere. Like that was awesome.
Nice.
If I could just get my kids to talk that way about me, that'd be awesome.
Right?
No, thank you so much for having me. It's been
You're
great.
so welcome. Well, let's kick things off with your story. How did you get involved in the world of new home sales and what brought you to New Home Star?
Man, I just stumbled into both. I stumbled into new home sales. Before I got into new home sales, I was an educator. Came out of college with a degree, double degree in communications and marketing, and kind of guided myself toward the marketing side. Ended up in marketing education in college and high school, and then found just one of my students' parents ended up having a spouse that was a division president and said, "You would be good in this." And something happened. I ended up meeting that gentleman, and voila, like a month later, I was in a model home selling houses, and I just could not believe this world that was here that I knew nothing about. Uh, I was not your salesman person in my head, but I was lucky to be part of a company that showed the systematic process to selling. And through that, learned how much selling is part of our United States culture. Like, you don't get clothes if somebody didn't sell cotton to the manufacturer. Like you understand how sales fits into our world. And once I found this path, my dad was a 35-year Air Force veteran, and he kind of installed in me and my brothers and sisters that just be great where you are, and people will find you. And that's all I did. I just was great where I was, and eventually, so my career progressed right there with that very first company, and then 2008 came along, and everybody was looking for, oh my God, what is this? What is going to happen? And I had three people mention this guy, Dave Rice, in a 2-month period. And I said, finally, who is this guy? How do I get a hold of him? And so I started that path, and me and Dave Rice met mid-year of 2008. I joined him not too long after that. And so he started New Home Star 2008 in January, and I joined him verbally in August and showed up in Colorado Springs in November for our first division of New Home Star, and we've been swinging at this thing ever since.
That's exciting. It's a bold move during a turbulent time, too. What were some of the early challenges and how did the company overcome them?
Well, the biggest, the biggest early challenge, which Jennifer has made us, we're better for it today, was if you could think in 2008 when Dave Rice was going to banks and investors asking for money to start a sales company in new home sales, nobody was giving him any money.
Yeah.
So we learned at the very beginning, we learned how to reinvest into the company. And so every dollar we made, we put back into the company, and we bootstrapped this thing from the very beginning. And so what that is now, as the largest private seller of new homes in America, we have no debt. We don't owe a bank. We don't owe an investor. We don't owe anybody. And we never have. And of course, now they come knocking at the door,
You
telling us
laid that perfect
telling us
foundation.
that we should.
Yeah.
But you know what? We know once you do that, you give up certain freedoms, and we enjoy what we do and the decisions that we get to make on a daily basis. And so, what was a challenge at the beginning has now been turned out to be good for us here now. So,
Exactly. Well, it's all because you laid that perfect foundation, right?
yeah.
So you've been growing at an incredible rate, but fast growth also brings growing pains, right? What's been the biggest challenge of scaling a people first business?
Well, are you just all in my bag, Jennifer, right now? The struggle every single year when you're a company we have averaged 30% year over year growth since 2010. When you have that leadership development in a lot of spaces, especially when you talk about human beings, and if you're going to do it right, development takes time depending on the person. And so when you're growing at 30% year over year, the first 1 or 2 years you can keep up with it. But then at about year 3 or 4, that 30% growth becomes exponential, and getting leaders in the pipe and develop fast enough
It's that
has
maturity.
yeah,
Yeah.
the maturity is our challenge. And so, we have a commitment, a goal of promoting 80% from within. And so that it's a good thing, right? It's a struggle for us to hit that mark, but the only reason is because we're growing at such a rate. And
Absolutely.
so then that just puts a lot of pressure on us to where when we do go outside of our company, then we've been so fortunate to create this culture of hard work, but also learning and fellowship and belonging inside of our company, that now it just makes us be more diligent about who we hire and plug into our culture and make sure that they're a good culture fit.
I mean, culture is everything when it comes down to a company, and it really proves to your foundation exactly, and is a testament to where you're at today. So obviously, since you promote within, which is absolutely incredible, how do you identify and train leaders quickly to step into new roles?
We thought way early in our inception that so we created some internal programs. So that way when people start to say, "Oh, I'm interested in leadership," this is gonna sound bad, but we wanna be able to gauge what their motives are for leadership. And some people want to get in leadership because of some work environment things, but then for me being a people guy, I want to see wants to be in leadership because it's in your heart. So we have a mentoring program, which is the first step. And this is a non-paid program that they will raise their hand and apply to be a part of. And the whole reason it's non-paid is because we want to see where your heart is. Do you have a heart for people? And do you have the care for this one person that's going to be in your care through this mentorship program? And so once they experience that a couple of times and they say, "Okay, I love this. What's the next step?" Then we enter into a leadership development program that we have internally, where here's a novel idea, Jennifer. We're going to train you how to be a manager before you become a manager. How about we just do that?
Right, that's
And so yeah, so we have some internal ways that we bring people along because we want them to be as successful as they can be.
that's really that's uncanny and it's uncommon, but it's very exciting to hear about that. With the market right now being full of uncertainty, how do you lead your team through that kind of unpredictability? And what do you teach them to focus on?
Yeah, the funny thing is when you have a lot of uncertainty around you, and the market is not as stable as it normally is. We have a term that I've really just tried to get the entire organization to really focus on is be excellent where you are. Like
Awesome.
if you can just dial in, because listen, we all have those areas in our everyday functions that we're not as strong in as the others. And in normal situations, we rely on our strengths to take us everywhere we need to go. But when you're in a market of volatility like we are right now is a great opportunity for you to just find all the ways you can be excellent where you are now. Because this is now the preparation ground for that way when the opportunity does come, when the market does shift, you are the best version of you. And so that way you're ready to take that next step and push yourself to the next level.
Beautiful. That's amazing. You mentioned something that stood out to me about new home sales being a stable long-term career path, but it's often overlooked. Why do you think that is?
I just think in terms of education. And the funny thing is, I remember my mom taking me, when I was in high school and I didn't want to go, and taking me to go look at houses and model homes and everything. I remember we had some family members move from California in the early 90s, and they bought a house in San Antonio, Texas. And I'd never thought about it until I got much older.
Hmm.
Before I got into this business, I was like, wow, new home sales has actually been around for a long time. And then once I found out how new home sales people got paid, I was like, wow, there's been people making a good living for a long time. And that was not ever taught as a career in high school or in college or in any pamphlet or in any book. Now, I think in recent years, the becoming a real estate agent because of HGTV and
Glamorous.
all the
Yeah.
realtors you see on social media and everything else. I think it has become a little bit more known in terms of the real estate industry, but still buried in there is the new home sales agent, that
I
wonderful
agree.
person you meet when you go to a home builder's model home, and they greet you, and there's so much more into just the greeting, but they gotta help you to figure out what floor plan would be the best one for you. And then you got to pick a home site if you decide to build from scratch. And like, so there are so many other things that come into play, and it makes it such a fascinating thing. But when you look at the industry as a whole, there we were able to identify there is a career path. There is a
Hmm.
career path that can follow you through your career as you have kids and different priorities in life. You can follow this, and it really could be something that your whole family can benefit as you go through your professional career.
So, perfect segue. What do you want job seekers and professionals to know about the opportunity that exists in the industry right now?
Oh my gosh. I have been telling new trainees that come in that now, even though the market is volatile, even though it's not as red hot, there could be no better time to get in new home sales than right now. Because right now, when you come in, you almost have no choice but to be forced to learn the business and learn how to do it the right way. And when you learn the foundation, and when the market's a little tough and it makes you do the extra phone calls, the extra emails, the extra customer service, like it makes you do all those little extra things because you have to learn that now. When the market does get to that apex, and here comes all the traffic, here comes all the sales coming your way, then you know you did all the work in the background. And this is what makes you have a long-term career, because this business is cyclical. Like in 2008, yeah, that was the roughest. We don't want that to come back, but that was the roughest. But you're gonna have seasons of here, and you're gonna have seasons of this, and you're gonna have seasons of this, and it's always going to be a cycle. And you can have a long-standing career if you have the strong foundation, and you'll never have to just ride the wave.
That's awesome. Looking ahead, what excites you most about where New Home Star and the industry is headed?
Man, the integration of technology, just like I think in almost every industry, technology is creating so many opportunities for us in so many ways. I was just blown away. Partner of New Home Star is you can literally pick all your color selections through this virtual, like that. You pick the house, and literally it's a virtual walkthrough of all the color selections that you've selected in that house, where you put it. Like, you're seeing it real time. And it's so, like, it's things like that that really gets exciting, of knowing how archaic we used to do it, where we had highlighters and we were highlighting a piece of paper saying, see, isn't it going to be
Using a
great?
magazine flip out and saying it's kind of look like this, but
Yes.
yep,
Yeah, and
vision
so
boards and what
yeah, so
yeah.
now we're pushing into this new frontier of where tech and AI are going to be able to do so many things that make the customer experience so much better. And I think at the end of the day, that is what's exciting.
Yeah, you actually get a chance to curate what their dream is and then show it to them before it's actually built. That's
Yeah.
really exciting. Well, Keith, thank you so much for sharing your experience and your energy with us today. Your passion for building teams, scaling with purpose, and elevating the industry is inspiring. I know our listeners got a ton of value from it. That's a wrap on this episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope Keith's insights gave you a fresh perspective on the housing market and the leadership opportunities hiding in plain sight within the sales industry. If you're exploring a career path or looking for a new challenge, check out New Home Star. They're building something truly special. If you've enjoyed this episode, it would mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button, share it with a friend, or leave a quick review. We've got more incredible guests and topics coming your way, so stay tuned. Until next time, go make bold moves and build something great.